Welcome to the short-term show from Blue Ridge, Georgia. We will cover everything you need to know, including buying, holding, managing from a distance, raising rents, renovating, and how to rent it when you are not using your very own vacation home in the North Georgia mountains. For more information on current purchase prices and income data, please visit theshorttermshop.com. Welcome to the Short Term Show special episodes from Blue Ridge. Grateful to be here. Happy to be here on the Short Term Show. It is, as for right now anyway, the final episode of the North Georgia Mountains. We are going to talk pricing today with my main dude, Mr. Yak. Love this guy. And today we're going to, again, talk about how to price your calendar. So first thing I want to do is kind of go over what a 12-month calendar looks like, give or take, in this market. And also, you know, when you can expect things to be slow. Before I get into that, I do want to point out, having done this for a long time, I like it when it's slow. You know, to a certain extent, a house is going to make what it's going to make, right? You need to make sure you're on top of that and paying attention to your gross annual income and your nightly rates to make sure that you're on track. How do you do that? You set goals. This month needs to hit this much, and this month needs to hit that much, and I need to pay. You got to pay attention. Set goals, pay attention. Exactly like everything in life, like weight loss. But you know, because what I hear all the time is, oh man, it's slow during that time of year. I don't like it when it's slow in my vacation rental, because then I'm not making any money. Well, you've already made all your money. And so who cares that it's slow in those couple of months? I like that. You know, it's almost like being a school teacher. Now, again, we don't have a ton of like dead season here in North Georgia. It's not like Wisconsin or somewhere where it's like freezing cold. You know, typical mountain market is going to get a fair amount of traction year round. I think let's just go ahead and start with the beginning of the year and wrap it through the end of the year. And Yak, feel free to raise your hand and step on my toes if I'm screwing any of this up. I think you can probably expect your January and February to be pretty damn dead, with a few exceptions. You got MLK weekend in there in January, which is going to book for sure and probably at a pretty decent rate. You've got, I'll get to New Year's at the end of the year. And then you've got Valentine. Valentine can do pretty well, particularly on smaller properties where the honeymooners are coming. And I do keep an eye on my Valentine and have like a little bit longer of a nightly stay, maybe 1 or 2 nights longer than normal, depending on the size of your property, and a couple of bucks more on a Valentine, but it's not, you know, a home run. But then, you know, usually once March rolls around and the leaves kind of start coming back in, first, maybe the second week of March, third week of March, that's when things get heavy again. And we'll kind of stay heavy until about May. But before we get to that, I do want to mention April is spring break, and that is a big deal in this market because there are so many major universities in metropolitan areas that are within driving distance, particularly Atlanta. Millions and millions of people on spring break. And spring break is going to be different based on whether it's a Georgia school or an Alabama school or a Tennessee school. So your April should be pretty good across the board. I like to keep my prices a little higher than what PriceLabs tells me on April. By the way, I'll get into PriceLabs here in just a minute. But May is when that switches. The spring breaks are over. Everybody spent their money on vacation. They're back in school, so it's probably going to slow down quite a bit in May. And the problem with that is a lot of times we don't see it coming. With May, you know, you get comfortable in March and April and you're thinking, oh, and another thing with May, the weather's fantastic. So you get a little bit comfortable and you're sitting there saying, well, where the hell are the people? Well, they're back in school and the parents are back, the kids are back in school and the parents aren't taking them anywhere, or the college and et cetera. So May is when you got to keep an eye on, and you got to, you know, maybe do some May specials as early as January or February. And then June, July should be pretty smooth sailing, and you're probably top dollar for those months. And especially 4th of July, you want to have a long minimum night stay and a high dollar rate for the big holidays there in the summertime. And August can tend to slow down a little bit, especially the first 2 weeks of August, 3 weeks of August. Whenever the kids are going back to school, you'll see there's a recurring theme there. When there's school, vacations are slower. It's just the way it is. Think about your childhood. It was exactly like that, right? So, and then September is back to school. So that one can be a lot like May. October is probably going to be pretty decent, if not very decent. You got the leaves changing on the trees. Everybody wants to come to the mountains. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And then November and December are very similar in the fact that the first 2 weeks are a bit of a throwaway. You just kind of try and get those booked as early as possible for whatever kind of number you can get on them. And then you're looking for the real high numbers for the Thanksgiving and the Christmas, and as many nights for those two bookings as you can. Personally, I have a goal usually about 6 weeks out. I feel like Thanksgiving 6 weeks out and Christmas 6 weeks out is the sweet spot for those to get booked. I'm not mad at them that they book earlier than that. And I do get a little bit stressed out if they're booking later than that. I feel that was my optimal period of time to get not only a decent rate, but also a really nice guest. The closer you get to those major holidays, the more risk you have that the guest is only picking you because you were the only one available. So I don't really like to be the last man standing on the major holidays like that. And then, of course, New Year's gets lumped in there with the Christmas holiday. It's really just a few days after. And it should be pretty high, maybe not quite as many nights in a row as a Christmas minimum night stay anyway, but should be pretty high. And then we're back in a slow season again. And I did want to mention there are softwares out there that do the bulk of this stuff for you. PriceLabs is the most popular. It's the one we like around here. I use it myself. I do pay for my subscription. We don't take any kind of we don't get any kind of advertising fee for saying that, and I'm proud of that. But just big fans of PriceLabs, and there's Wheelhouse, there's Beyond Pricing, several to choose from. But again, PriceLabs is or any of these softwares, they're just a vehicle, and you got to get in there and drive it. And if you're not doing the heavy lifting, then you're not going to get the heavy return. If you want to squeeze this property for every dollar it's worth, then you need to spend way more time on pricing. I think that's where the bulk of your time should be spent. But if you're just a regular person with a regular job that likes to take your family to this property and use it when you're not renting it, that kind of thing, then you really could just put PriceLabs to work and not change much of anything on there. And there's all sorts of folks out there that kind of run that spectrum. So anyway, I've been yakking real hard here, Yak. What do you have to add on this one, buddy?
No, I mean, you covered it. I would like to add that, add some intentional, reasons why to get more money or to get more stays. And what I mean by that is here, college football, pretty big thing. That bowl game week, I know a lot of people, they theme their house that their basement has got, SEC football stuff all over it. Wet bar, everything else. They really promote sports, and a lot of times they can pick up an extra $1,000 because they have a theme in their basement that kind of speaks to football and bowl week when it's kind of slow. I mean, granted, the first of the year, New Year shouldn't be slow for you, but they're playing games all the way through the 8th, I think, something like that. So I know a lot of people that have, pick up a lot of business during that week. Simply just they're kind of insinuating, hey, this is the house to come to if you want to watch bowl games. If you want to have a long, 3-4 day guys weekend retreat or whatever, that they do pick up extra business. Even kind of those slower weekends, maybe in the fall as well, where it's not, it's that, that November, end of November, not, or before Thanksgiving, not a lot going on. Talk to these people, talk to these clients with your listing, let them know that your cabin, your property is more than just a place to come during the summer. Have some intentionality when you're speaking to these people, and you're essentially marketing to people that have a common interest, and you can pick up maybe 20 extra days a year, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 maybe, simply because you do that.
Yep.
I would also add fishing here. The fishing seasons kind of, that spring and then again that late fall, not times that are typically super slow, tends to be a little slower in the spring, but there's some great fishing time. Maybe you have something throughout your house in the photography that speaks to that fly fisherman, that says, hey, this is the cabin for you. All right. They're going to pick your cabin as opposed to somebody else because, hey, you've got that trout fishing. You've got a map on your wall that talks about trout fishing. You have the old antique rods crossed above, the couches. Again, you're marketing your cabin, but you're marketing it to pick up more people, to speak to different audiences, to hopefully make more money.
Big college football guy myself, but I'm not so familiar with this thing you call the SEC. Being a Big Ten guy, Midwestern guy myself. But
What's that?
What bowl game do you have in the area?
Well, we got the Sugar Bowl, that plays in Atlanta, and typically whoever wins that's the champion of the SEC, and typically that person ends up being the national champion.
Okay, let's take it easy. Well, and we're not going to talk about Georgia this year, but anyway,
hey, Alabama.
Okay, here we go. I
don't cheer for either. I'm a glutton for punishment, so.
I'm not going to use the word monopoly, but anyway, so let's talk about some events that you have in the area. I know you got a rodeo in the fall. You got a big Christmas situation going on. And, of course, all that's going to pertain to the prices. Throw a couple of those things at me just so I know what to keep an eye on an annual basis.
Yeah, I mean, we do have festivals all the time. I mean, honestly, it seems like there's one once a month. I don't necessarily know if they're a huge draw. They're kind of more for locals. The Christmas stuff is becoming bigger and bigger, to be honest with you. One of the bigger draws, I would say, for a lot of people is that Blue Ridge Scenic Railway. And they do a great job of making it seasonal as well. They almost run year round, but as you can imagine right now, they're doing Polar Express stuff, right? And then before that, they're kind of doing the watch the leaves turn colors, the fall thing. And then in the summer, it's the windows are open. It's a nice little cool drive through the mountain or a ride through the mountains. And then the springtime, you get to see the leaves come in and see kind of the woods come alive, so to speak. So I think the railway does a great job of bringing people in. The festivals, yeah, I mean, they do fairly well. I don't know if I would necessarily set my calendar by them. I think people go into the wineries and doing the wine tours, that definitely adds some seasonality, some things, again, another market you can speak to. I've got clients, they have the bottom of their house kind of decked out with, different posters from all the different wineries and orchards and everything else around. And that's going to pull in a certain audience. A lot of bachelorette parties, do the wine tours. And again, that's mostly going to be kind of warm weather stuff. But again, for us, I would say the number one biggest draw is going to be, if you want to add an event to this, it's going to be the leaves changing colors. I mean, October, if you've got that cabin with a really good view, I'm going to say that could very easily be your best month for sure.
Got it. All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about minimum night stay. Obviously, that's going to vary greatly depending on the size of your property. So like and also by the time of the year as well. And to me, the main thing is just get in there and move things around. And staying stagnant is what's going to get you in trouble. I mean, if you're just looking for a regular old rule of thumb on a minimum night stay, maybe somewhere around one night per bedroom. So a 4-bedroom house, maybe 4-night minimum in the summertime, and maybe but maybe you go further than that. Maybe you say 4-night men on the week with the weekend and 2 or 3-night men on weekdays only, something like that. And you can automate all that stuff on PriceLabs. Used to be you had to go in and click every damn night of the year and put in your settings, etc. And all that stuff can be automated. And you want to get to the point where you're really not doing much, and even with the guests, a lot of that stuff needs to be automated as well, is making sure that these guests are going to be good people so you don't have to deal with riffraff. And it's the same thing here with the pricing of the property. Get in there and do your work, and the longer you spend on it in the early setup stages, the first, 6 months or a year of owning this property, the quicker you're going to get to the point where you've just set it and forget it. Because to me, again, it is very important that you're not spending a massive amount of time on properties that you already own. To me, the hard part is coming up with down payments. How do I get to that next deal? That's the hard part. And if you're sitting there, I like to say rewriting a song you've already written, then, you might be wasting a little bit of your time. But for now, if you are new, I want you to focus the bulk of your time and energy on pricing your calendar and learning how to price your calendar. Obviously, spend a lot of time on your enemies. Go check out your neighbors, see what they're doing. How can you do better than them? Which guy's doing the best? And why is he the best? Why is she the best? How can you be better? That's why we call them enemies. This guy's crushing it. I'm going to make him my enemy. I'm going to bury him. I'm going to do better than him. That's the whole point. And just talking about being a better landlord and in general. So anyway, back to the minimum night stay. Now, the small properties, I have no problem doing a one-night min. Now, that's not for everybody. It does take a little bit more of a seasoned landlord to be dealing with one-nighters because they can be a little bit more, party types where they're just passing through. They tend to be a little bit more last minute. We need a place to stay tonight. We're going to probably bring some booze with us and we're going to have a good time. And then they're gone and they left a mess, So I don't have any problem doing that. I do have rules in place to kind of try and mitigate that riffraff. But like I said, one nighter on a smaller property or even a two, hell, I'll do one night on a 3-bedroom if the price is right, So there's no right or wrong answer on minimum night stay. There's a lot to discuss as far as, all aspects of that. But a lot of it, again, is going to have to do with the size of your property. Bigger the property, more nights you're going to want out of folks. And honestly, the bigger your property, the more occupancy you're going to have. You're going to have a vacancy, I should say. You're going to have less occupancy on bigger houses. You could have, let me put it this way. I'm just making stuff up now. Don't put this on a spreadsheet. But if you had two bedrooms and you had 1 4-bedroom, let's say that the 2 bedrooms hit somewhere around 80%. I'm making that up, but maybe. And let's say that the 4-bedroom only hits, 65% occupied for the year. So what you do is take 365 times 0.8 and whatever that is, it's right at 300 nights, 291 nights or whatever. 97 maybe. And then, the 4-bedroom is only hitting 0.65 of the 365, but you could end up having the same gross revenue on the 4-bedroom. Maybe. I'm making stuff up right now. Would you have higher gross income on 2 bedrooms than 1 4-bedroom? Probably. Is 1 4-bedroom going to cost you less or more than 2 2-bedrooms? I'm going to ask you that, Yak. 2 2-bedrooms going to cost me more than 1 4-bedroom to purchase?
Man, if you want to just talk about averages, I would say probably, yeah. I mean, it would probably be the same. We're talking, a $400,000 2-bedroom, probably, moderate, average one. $800,000 4-bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yep. So you're looking at that bad boy to kind of be like having 2 bedrooms, except for you only have 1 roof. That's something to consider. You only have 1 kitchen as opposed to 2 kitchens. So when it comes to rehab, the 4-bedroom theoretically might be a little bit less money because you don't have as many things to replace. You don't have 2 roofs to replace. You don't have 2 dishwashers to replace, but you do have more square footage. Probably, so is the square footage the same? Now we're going way into the weeds here, but all things to consider as you get into your property management career here in the vacation rental business. Average lead time. Let's talk about that a little bit. How far out do I want a property to be booked? Well, Airbnb says that 30 days is what you're looking for. And I think that that's pretty true. I used to want it to be a little further in advance than that. Now with COVID, hell, some of my small properties are booking like 2 days in advance, and I'm okay with it. It's a little weird. Sometimes it gets a little stressful, but that's the economy we're dealing with when we're at the recording of this podcast, which is first of the year 24. So I don't take too much stock in that, and frankly, when I see folks stressing out about that on the internet, I get a little like, man, you're really worried about the wrong stuff. I don't have. Like, let's say it's January 1st and they're sitting there like, I don't have any bookings in April. Well, why would you even want to book in April? That means you priced it too low, So
right.
keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. What else? Yak, am I missing anything?
I would say here, because we don't have a ton of, we got mostly 3 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, and, vast majority is 3 bedrooms. If you do have that 4 and 5 bedroom, during those slower months is your time to be a thief. You start backing those prices down, and you can, during those slower months, steal a lot of money from, if you're a 5, stealing it from a 4, if you're a 4, stealing it from a 3, be aggressive on your pricing on the low side to get that occupancy up during those slower months. You have the ability to do that with a bigger cabin as opposed to if you were a smaller cabin. And I, again, see a lot of people, with a lot of bookings, or more bookings than I would expect in January and February, just because they said, screw it, I'm going to let my 4 bedroom go for, $399 a month or a night, $299, whatever that is, where typically they may be getting $550. Get some butts in there, get some reviews, right? That's going to make you money down the road. It's a win-win.
I can't agree more. I do that. I will go low in January, February on a 4 bedroom. I will try and scoop up what a 3 bedroom guy could have gotten. And you will also notice that your number of people on the reservation might be a little lower in these slow seasons because you went low enough to scoop up a 4-person booking that may have rented a 2 bedroom house in a 4 bedroom. I got no problem doing that. And I really wish there was a way, and there will be eventually, that I could customize the number of people I will allow based on the time of year. I think that would be beneficial, like 4th of July, or customize my price, even better, customize my price based on the number of people. It's too difficult to automate that because, that's the downside of the wintertime when you got a bigger home. I may be willing to rent that to 2 people, but for a little bit less money, but I'm not going to rent it to 9 people. For the same price, I'm going to rent it for 2 people. It'd be really cool if I could customize that. I think we'll probably get to that point at some point because, maybe now we're way in the weeds, but let's say I had a 2 bedroom house or a 4 bedroom house, and I got a group of 4 people shopping for the same 2. Well, as those people, as the shopper, as the guest, I would be willing to spend a little bit more on the 4 bedroom to have the extra square footage. And I feel like I should probably get a little bit better price on that 4 bedroom than somebody that's going to bring twice as many people as me, So I think that's where we're headed in the future, probably a few years from now before that actually happens. But anyway, again, way in the weeds. What else, Yak?
I mean, that's really it. I'll try to hammer this point home is try to make your, do things to your cabin, understand your listing, photography, it is your digital footprint is all people know about your cabin, right? So speak to people. I hear so many times that, people, this is a dead time. This is a dead time. Man, I don't care where you are. If you're in Destin or, Big Bear or Blue Ridge, set up your cabin in a way that's going to speak to these people and kind of add to the seasonality, because no matter where you are, there is going to be some sort of seasonalness to what you are trying to accomplish. And if you're able to go in and kind of speak to different audiences, people interested in football, people interested in doing wine tours, people interested in going to the orchards, fly fishing, tubing, whatever it may be. I mean, there's a lot of money I think we all leave on the ground because we're worried about pricing, but what we're not doing is talking to people. We're just putting a generic message out there. And if people would be a little more intentional with what they say and how they present their home, I think there's a lot of extra money to be made on the cheap.
Well, we went all over the place today, but what I do want to hammer home is that pricing is, number one, the most important part of landlording and vacation rentals. You got 365 nights to price. And again, the management softwares, the pricing softwares will, I hate to say it, but they will do that for you. If you let them do it for you, you're not going to be as effective as if you get in there and drive that car like Dale Earnhardt. Mm-hmm. And then also, basically going to say the same thing a different way. The more time you spend on this, the more return you're going to get. Your pricing is extremely important. The love you make is equal to the love you take, according to some rock and roll band way back in the day. But all right, Yak, unless you have something else, I'm happy to let you go. Episode 10 is bittersweet. We're going to miss you. I'm sure we'll do an update at some point in the near future, getting the episode 11 going from Blue Ridge. But Yak, you want to say goodbye to the fine folks?
All right, Luke, just thanks for having me, man.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. I love getting together and yakking with you anytime. So we'll see you soon. And on behalf of the short-term shop, let me go throw a couple of plugs. You want to buy a house in this market? Call us. Okay, the shorttermshop.com. Yak will be happy to help you with the transaction, and I'd be happy to teach you how to manage it. Management Monday happens every Monday, and I teach folks everything I know about landlording and the vacation rental space in which I have been for a very long time. And dare I say I'm damn good at it. So let me let me teach you how to do it every Monday. The shorttermshop.com. We would love to earn your business. And as always, don't overthink it.